As the head coach of Romania's national debate team, I have a student there who's waving at me. It's honestly shameful to admit how much I procrastinated work on this speech. And it wasn't for the lack of know-how or because I didn't know what to tell you or that I didn't have really strong beliefs. It was for an even stronger imposter syndrome that kept me up at night. And I was thinking all of these thoughts, like my ideas are unoriginal. These are not mine. I read them in a book somewhere. I accessed them on the internet. They were imbued in me by my mentors, or maybe I witnessed them firsthand and accidentally stole them. Now, I would say that this is silly, right? But the truth is that on TikTok we see all of these shorts with the champion crossing the finish line, the Olympic athlete holding up the trophy and smiling at the camera. And this is very nice, but you don't get to see everything that's behind that. Like the blood, sweat, and tears, quite literally. You don't see the sacrifices. You don't see the baby steps that led to that moment. And the reason why that doesn't happen is because these are not marketable. People don't want to show vulnerability and don't want to demystify their techniques on camera. So I'm here to tell you that actually vulnerability is the key to improving yourself. Once you accept your flaws, you can actually start improving from there. So I want to share a personal story with you, a very embarrassing one from high school. So I was very engrossed in debating. Debate is this activity where two teams have these speeches for and against a certain topic, and these topics could be international relations, could be economics, and so on. And I used to go to these debate competitions all around the world. I had amazing friends that could hold their own in conversations on really complex topics. We got to win trophies and have fun together. But it wasn't always like that. I remember one of my very first debates. It was supposed to be a normal practice debate. But I was supposed to go against the hegemons of Romanian debating back then. And the coach of the national team, a person whom I admired and respected and I was honestly terrified of, and also wanted to impress at the same time, was supposed to adjudicate us. And I had prepared this speech. I stand up, I'm supposed to speak, and the only sound I can muster is, I kid you not, cry uncontrollably for 20 minutes straight, run to the bathroom where I wouldn't come out until the end of the debate, and then being super ashamed to see everybody. And this is a real story. And honestly, I never wanted to feel like that ever again. And I think this is what made me realize that weakness is okay, but then you can improve and you can become better. And that led me to believing that big dreams can be achieved if you break them down into small, achievable steps. And when I realized that, I wanted to become a debate coach because I felt this is something I could give back to the community and to teach other people how to do that too. So today, I want to teach you about this very interesting method. It's called deliberate practice. So deliberate practice is this learning method where you rewire your circuit, your neural pathways, let's say, in order to get better at the skill that you want to achieve and achieve it more effectively. Now, that's all fine and dandy. Let's imagine that your neurons are like small towns, and between them you have all of these like dirt paths. So it's really hard to get from one place to another. Right, so now let's imagine that through deliberate practice, instead of these dirt paths, you pave them really well until they become highways. So then it's super easy to get from one place to another. In real life, this translates in things such as retrieving information for a test really quickly, or being able to pluck the guitar strings in a very specific way so that you can actually do that song that you've been working on for a very long time. This process is called myelination, and it's like oiling up your neurons and making their axons a bit thicker so that they communicate better and more efficiently. This process of deliberate practice is what makes a difference between an amateur and a professional. And I'm here to deliver 5 simple steps through which you can achieve this. Step number 1, you need real good motivation. For example, maybe you want to deliver this big, scary speech in front of this big, scary audience, but the audience is not scary. You're quite friendly, actually, which I'm super happy about. And you need that motivation because that's like the carrot that motivates you to do something about it. That's the thing that makes it worth it to invest dozens or hundreds or thousands of hours into becoming good at something. Step number 2. Now, public speaking is this like huge thing. So you need to break it down into micro skills. You will set up a very specific objective, super small one. Looking cool in front of everyone is not a thing. That's not specific and also not a goal. But getting rid of mannerisms, words such as whatever, I really coached them out of myself, so now I can't remember them, is something that you can achieve. Step number 3, you need to set up short, focused, intense sessions where you practice that skill uniquely. You cannot be distracted, not by your cat, not by social media, not by your little brother. That's not an option. Also, it's not a good idea if you try to practice too many skills at the same time. That would detract you from your objective. Next step, step number 4. You need a mentor or a teacher, somebody who can tell you how to get better and to give you feedback. So for example, say, they will tell you, you need to take a sip of water every time you feel like saying in a speech. Or they will count how many likes you've been saying in the past 3 minutes. Or they will stop you before you do it for the 15th time in a row. Or they will just nag you until they coach it out of you. So that's what teachers do. Get that expert advice, it's really worth it. Now finally, the last step, you need to repeat, reflect, refine. Now that you know what you need to do, you need to do it as many times necessary until you succeed. After that, you ask yourself, so what could I have done better? How did I feel during this practice session? What do I need to improve next? And now next time, you actually need to do it better. That part is refinement. After you have achieved all of these steps, you can build your own mental representations. Mental representations are the things that make the difference between amateurs and professionals. They're these concepts that make a link between objects, actions, and things in the outside world and the way that our brain is thinking. Say, I tell you about Mona Lisa, and now you can see it with your mind's eye. Even the weird smile. You're welcome. Now, that's a mental representation. A more complex one would be chess grandmasters being able to imagine how what the pieces are gonna do on the table, while they're playing chess, which is what allows them to play blindfold chess, which is a thing, and it looks like magic. But that magic also comes to a lot of practice. Coming back to our original example about debating, that would mean like me imagining myself on stage, how my hands are going to move or what my face is going to look like. That's also a mental representation, and studies show that mental representations and imagining yourself doing the activity that you are going to do is almost as effective as it would be to just do it a million times for intermediates and advanced. Now, finally, you might ask yourself, so Laura, okay, mental representation, but why do I need this? Like, I don't want to be a chess grandmaster. I don't want to do quadruple axel on ice skating. I'm not interested in that. But I bet that every single one of you had a learning experience where you felt stuck, where it was hard. It was just hard to continue. You didn't know what to do. You felt plateaued. And not just in learning, in any sport or any skill that you're going to do. Now, that moment, imagine you're on a mountain and it's hard. You're panting and I'm nervous. You're panting and it's hard and you don't know what to do. There's a lot of fog and you start asking yourself questions like, what if the bear is going to attack me? What if I lose my way? What what if, all these questions. But then, I think I will cry by the end of this speech, I tell you for sure. But then that moment when the fog lifts up, like if you take enough small steps, after a while, you get to a high point, and the fog lifts up, and you see this beautiful sunlit landscape, and it's beautiful, and you're like, oh, I did all of this. I came up from the base of the mountain, so that means I can go to the peak of the mountain too. And that moment of clarity is what we call liminality in education. That moment of transition between two different